I picked these really cute white flowers outside of my gym yesterday, and then I set them out to dry, but sometimes flowers, they don't dry that nicely. But these flowers that I picked out of the trees on my block, they dried so beautifully. After I started using dried flowers as decor, I can't go back because it's so easy. And it's honestly like the prettiest thing ever. Cheddar. Cheddar. Okay. Cheddar, 1 second, sir. Just gotta put water in it. Is that a jingly boy I hear? Jingly! Jingly! Cheddar! We are so close but so far. I love you too, Cheddar. I love you too. These are some books that I brought out with me. By Your Side. And then Peace is Every Step. I got this at my library. And then I brought my manifestation journal out with me. How I was previously writing entries in this kind of fed into fear. Like, for example, I realized that the whole list of standards that I had for friendships, a lot of it was from a place of self-protection. So I want to see if I could retranslate my standards into a guiding compass that is less rigid, more open, and also more loving, because I do want my entries in here to genuinely foster this care with humanity. If I were to simplify everything that I learned from friendships, is that are our ways of giving, receiving, and asking for love compatible? Because it really comes down to that. What is my giving? What is my receiving? How do I ask? And is it compatible, or can I work with another person in their own unique and very valid way of giving, receiving, and asking for love? And that's why when sometimes like we meet people who those things aren't compatible, it could feel like they're maybe emotionally unavailable. I feel like with more self-awareness and with people being more committed to their own healing journeys, it's very easy to be so engrossed in our own story, in our own suffering, in our own healing, that we are not as emotionally available to our friends. And I think something that I'm consciously bringing into my conversations with new people is realizing that like I really want to get to know the other person. I trust that eventually I'll be able to find this like deeper, more vulnerable support with them. But right now I really want to get to know the other person, and I think that's also how I give and want to receive love too, that it's not about our own suffering and our own stories like first thing off the bat. Like I really want there to be this genuine curiosity of oh, who are you? Like, what is your life like? You know, what brings you joy? What gets you excited? The more engrossed we are in our own stories and our own suffering, the less emotionally available we are to the person who is right in front of us, to the person that we're trying to build a deeper friendship with. And of course, at times it's going to fluctuate. You know, at times there is going to be like a lot of turmoil in our lives where we do need that prolonged support. For a natural dynamic or default dynamic, I really wanted to feel balanced. Oh, I just saw him throw up. I never witnessed him actually throwing up before. That's a lot of grass. Wow. Cheddar, are you okay, handsome? It's okay. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Who loves silver wine? You do. Oh yeah. In the future, I definitely want to get him a fellow cat friend. I feel like no matter how attentive I am, no matter how much I am there for him, that there's a part of him that just needs a friend, another fellow cat friend. Right? Right, Cheddar? Yeah. I love you so much. I've been reflecting a lot these days on how Cheddar has been making me a much better person. And it's interesting because I feel like the wisdom that I gained from observing Cheddar and our relationship closely is the same amount of wisdom / insight that I would have received if I studied closely under a meditation teacher. Maybe that's a bit naive of me to say because I've never studied closely under a meditation teacher before, but I feel like so many times when we think that we have to venture far from our home to access growth, expansion, a deeper understanding of who we want to be, really the teacher appears when we're ready and we don't have to go far. So a lot of the times it's right under our nose. The more I deepen into being present with Cheddar, the more I start seeing, oh wow, because of him, I am who I am today. For example, a very big way that he influenced my life is that for a while I wanted to do a work exchange program at like some meditation center, some spiritual center, in order to avoid living at home with my parents. During the periods where I was really contemplating that, that's probably the peak of conflict with my parents, of it being like very difficult to live with them. But those opportunities never felt right to commit to, because when the intense trigger would pass, I would look at Cheddar and I'd be like, oh my God, like what about him? You know, do I really want to leave him here with my parents? My parents adore Cheddar, but they don't love him. It's different. I think they compartmentalize him as a pet instead of as a fellow family member. So just reflecting on how Cheddar has been on the receiving end of abandonment consistently throughout his life. Like, I was close to him and he was starting to bond with me when we first brought him home at the last year of high school for me. And then immediately after, I started going off to college, and he would then only see me for like a weekend or a couple of months for break. He would just be on his own a lot of the times. Like, he would have the company of my parents, but once again, that's very different because there's a bit more distance in that. And then thinking about how I would, like, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that to him again, ever. Even though the idea of going on retreat or doing these work exchange programs where I could really deepen spiritually is appealing, if it involves Cheddar suffering more, then I don't think that I would be able to go ahead and proceed with it, no matter how appealing the opportunity is. Cheddar is family to me. And not only that, like, I these days have been understanding what unconditional love is because of my relationship to him. You know, like maybe if it was just me and my parents, even though my parents would want me home, I would just go. And I think it's like that because there isn't that unconditional love there yet, you know? In so many ways, he has given me an opportunity to commit during times of like me really wanting to run away, and through me committing to this layperson life at home with my family, I've been able to approach my relationship with my family in a different way and actually start to heal our dynamic / finding ways of showing up that would create more harmony between us. Because if I would have left under that context of me like being fed up living at home, I don't think I would have come back, you know, or I don't think I would have reached the point where I saw how I was creating more suffering through my own embodiment. My relationship with my parents would have always stayed something where, you know, I would just want to be far away as much as possible. Some smaller ways that cheddar has made me a better person is because I'm catching myself anytime I inconvenience cheddar, just like the slightest bit, like I make too big of a sound and it wakes him up. My impulse to apologize is so fast. Like, I'm so sorry, cheddar. I breathe too loud. I'm sorry, cheddar, for breathing. And I realized that with my family or even with my partner, that quickness to apologize isn't there. I could observe myself wanting to be right or wanting to feel more in, I guess, like win, right? Where I'm withholding my apology. It doesn't come as natural or as quick as it does with cheddar. It really showed me how actually, like, when I take off all of this armor, that there is nothing more that I want than reconciliation or to love and to be loved, right? And I've been able to see that unfold with me and cheddar. And I'm wondering, this is possible for me. I could love this deeply. I could be so quick to like let go of my armor, let go of my sword, and just own up to my part so quickly. How can I bring this into my human relationships? Because people say that it's so easy to love nature, it's so easy to love animals, but it's not as easy to love fellow humans. It's been a while since I've been on the swings. Yeah. Good thing I put my camera to the side a little because I feel like I could just, my feet could reach you. Do you guys want to know how I make the most of swinging? So if you swing, when you close your eyes, you're able to feel the drop more. And then at least for me and my body, I feel the tingles of the drop in my nose, brain, like my head area. Cheddar's presence in my life has shown me that I am more capable of loving than I have ever thought that I was. I think, of course, because of years of hardship, experiences, hurt, heartbreak, I could start convincing myself that I need certain conditions in order for me to love this person or this experience. Like, I need it to be my way and then I could love. But with how I've been so easily putting my ego aside when it comes to anything related to cheddar, I've been seeing that, no, that's just wounds, but it's not really the deepest essence of who I am. And in that sense, it has been feeling very liberating because, you know, when I am getting upset at one of my parents because they don't properly wash their hands with soap, and this has been something that I communicated, fights have arisen from this over and over again where it's just like, change isn't gonna happen. I look at cheddar, I see him rolling on the sidewalk outside where people with their shoes just like stomp, stomp, stomp. Or I see him go up to the fire hydrant. I literally see dog pee stains running down the hydrant and he's like rubbing his neck up against it. And then a few hours later, he's sleeping on my bed. And part of me, like, it's like, oh yeah, that's a little bit gross, but I don't get upset at him, you know? Nor do I try to limit his life outdoors just because of my own comfort or discomfort. It's so often been a point of reflection for me of like, wow, if I could accept cheddar like this, why can't I accept this parent for just not washing their hands with soap as thoroughly as I would want them to? And that's just one example out of
many examples of how something about my parents or something about another human upsets me, and then I see how that upsetness doesn't make sense logically, because when Cheddar does the same thing or something under that umbrella, I don't get upset. And going back to the point that I made earlier on in this video, that sometimes when we're so engrossed in our own story, we could just not be emotionally available for the people around us. And that also applies to sometimes when we're so engrossed in how we want other people to show up, we're just missing the whole thing because we're so concerned with our conditions. And next thing you know, our parents have gotten old. Next thing you know, all we have left is memories, nostalgia. And I think that leads me to the final point of Cheddar's impermanence. And obviously, I feel like with humans, we know that our lives are impermanent, and we know that we're going to one day pass away. But with our pets, I feel like that fact is so much more prevalent. It's like at the forefront because we know that they biologically just live way shorter lives than we do. Every day, even when I don't feel like it, or even when it's not convenient for me, I override that by asking myself, how can I show up for him today? And in that sense, I hope that me practicing that with Cheddar will also bleed out to my family as well, to my partner, to other strangers that I meet. Unconditional love is a concept that I thought was far outside of me. Understandably, because humans are hard to get along with. Or at least it's hard to let go of our own narratives about others. But to be given the opportunity to get a glimpse of what this love could do for me, how it could transform me, and how it could also transform my immediate world, and thus butterfly effect the bigger world, has been so beautiful. I wanted to make this video to declare its beauty, to announce it to the world of like, guys, my relationship with my cat is one of the best things that has ever happened to me.